Eagle fans, and welcome back to the Lubbock Christian Eagle Coaches Show for another week. Carson Robinson, Coach Chris Softley, and Coach coming off of a big win. And I mean that not by the score, even though it was big on the scoreboard, but it was a big win as a team win, as a program win to have that. We were just talking about before the show, this was the third district championship game basically that you had to play in this year for give yourself a chance for a district championship. Now you play in your fourth one this week. We'll get to that. But what a performance by your kids. You come out hot and you stayed hot the rest of the game. You score the first 14 points, go up 14-0. That's huge against a team like First Baptist, who knocked off a really good Weatherford team the week before.
You know, I just felt like our kids were really locked in. We challenged them a lot with the scatter report. FBA presents a lot of problems. Coach LaVorne there does a great job, and they're tough to match up with. But I felt like our kids were keyed in. They made great in-game adjustments, and they played really hard. So I was proud of how we pursued the football. We didn't take care of the football in a great way in terms of the turnover margin, and that was probably the one big blunder from the night. But other than that, I thought it was as close to a complete performance as we've had.
And on the defensive side, you got to be really happy. We talked about it in the coaches show last week. The problems in open space that team First Baptist presented with the athletes that they have. It seemed like the defensive, whatever you put out there, was working and changed up looks and all these other things that you said you had to do against a team like that. Make them confused at the line of scrimmage, and it seemed to work out for you in every way that you wanted it to.
Our boys played really hard, and they tackled really well. And at the end of the day, if you give a type of a max out effort, it's going to take care of the other things, what we call tackles and turnovers. And so the boys were ready, mentally ready, and that showed up physically. And so hats off to them.
And then you go with, Bax Townsend leads you in passing as usual as the quarterback would, rushing to over 200 yards again on more than 20 attempts. That's got to be nice to be able to run him more. He's been banged up a little bit, but nice to see Bax getting back into that running game. That's a big deal for this team. Is if Bax Townsend can run the football, that opens up everybody else.
And we're known as a spread passing attack, but I think the secret's out on we're not trying to throw for 5,000 yards. Yeah. We want to run the football. We're kind of Midwest blood in us. We're not the new Big 12. We're the old Big 8.
Yeah.
And so we want to run the football, and we think the best way to do it is with the quarterback, and we've got a great one, and our line's really coming together, finally getting healthy. Yeah. And so that was good to see on the ground.
And then spreading it around. I mean, 6 different guys catch passes. You're talking 2 or more catches for everybody. Luke Zuniga had 1 for 20 though, and then Welker Horn leads you in receiving this week. It was Luke Lee the weeks before that. It's been different guys every week. This receiving core, something that people talked about from last year. You lose Carson Leatherwood, you lose Connor Lack, but the receiving core hasn't skipped a beat this season.
And again, I think we talked about that really early on. I just thought this group was a really mature and well balanced group. They're low ego. And so if it's not their day to get their number called, they're going to block their tails off. And our kids did that. Luke got 1 touch right there. Luke Zuniga ran really hard for 20 yards, but he blocked in a fantastic way. And he played great on defense, taking away what we feel like is a really potent offense. And he did a lot on the back end with his checks and the way he came downhill and ran the alley. So hats off to Luke Zuniga. Again, somebody that the world doesn't look at in the stat column, but we are celebrating like crazy because his moxie was huge for us on Friday night.
And one of the best blockers in the receiving corps. Him and Luke Lee both. They can get out on the edge and just push people out of the way, and that opens up room for the running game or the short screen game like we like to run quick.
And again, it shows this team was built in March.
Yeah.
And we're always talking about our kids, about being multi-sport athletes. You can't just turn it on. Yeah. And I certainly am not a believer in year-round playing the same sport. And the reason is these guys built themselves in the weight room. Our receiving corps was not the fleetest of foot in March. Yeah. They built themselves on the track. And so because of them being multi-sport athletes, and if you look at our receiving corps, I bet they're all 3 or 4 sport athletes. But because of that, they come into the game with a lot of mental confidence, but also a well-balanced tool belt, skill set to be able to compete in various roles that we put them in.
So Lubbock Christian, big win, like I said, keeps atop the district race as of right now, and 57-13 on Friday night here from Lena Stevens. Now, back on the road this week at Fort Worth Temple. It's a place that we've been to plenty of times before. Haven't been to. I guess we played them there in 2020, the COVID year. It was the first game of the season. But it'll be a little bit different this week. Supposed to be raining and everything like that. That's kind of in a grass field that can shut down sort of a passing attack. Whereas they're a run, pretty much 90% team with the flex bone option that they run. So that's kind of something that I know. Control what you can control.
That's right.
We talk about it every week.
That's right.
You can't control the weather, so go out and do what you have to do to win a football game on the road, right?
Yeah. So we talk about life lesson number 2. Life's not fair, and the weather is going to be hazardous for a spread offense. It's going to be great for a flex bone offense. But when push comes to shove, it's the same wind and the same rain. It's the same grass field that's slippery. And it's, again, who handles it better, who has better mistake response. And so the key will be us taking care of the football and handling the ebbs and flows that come with a high school football game. And so there'll be good and bad that comes, and we'll be really interested to see how we respond. This is a very good team, a 7-1 ball club at their place. They win this game and they can be district champs. And so it is a fun opportunity for us. We're thankful that each of these games is really tough and matters, because I think it will only pay off for us more in the end.
No doubt about it. And this offense we talked about, the flex bone offense, for those of you that don't know, go watch an Army or Navy game. You'll figure it out from there. But the triple option offense, for high school kids to have a week to prepare for it, it's a tough offense to prepare for because it is assignment-based football on the defensive side. We're still talking. We've got a bunch of kids that are going to do the right thing. You would hope, but in an offense like this, you've got to do the right, because otherwise, you miss one assignment, they're going to break a long play, and they got the athletes to do it. So that presents a problem in itself on the defensive side, only having 1 week to prepare for a tough offense like this.
Agreed. In the same way that we have a lot of depth with our skill position, I think they have a lot of depth with their skill position. They hand the ball off to 6 different guys that I think are all pretty equal, and each of them can break it. But the big thing for us is the way we talk to our kids, this is not a 1 week preparation. We've been playing these offenses out here in West Texas forever. Last year in the district, I think we had 6 that were some form of wing tee, slot tee, or flex bone. And so thankfully we have a Will Hawley type of led defense where he's seen just about everything. We've got a common language, but at the end of the day it will come to ball get off, playing with leverage, and then our ability to tackle in space. Put the weather on top of that, and you make for a pretty fun environment. We'll see how we handle it.
Yeah, the white jerseys might be a little brown by the end of the night. And that's kind of what you want. Football's fun when it's raining in Texas, and it won't get any better than Friday night. We'll have it all for you from Fort Worth. The volleyball team is off this week. They're 14-0 district champions. You got to be pretty proud about that as the athletic director, throwing on that hat of Coach Nina Watson. Just her second year, moving into a new district full of teams that they didn't know anything about. They fought through adversity on Friday night at Denton Calvary, and what a match it was. And now y'all had a big one going on here, but that was a match you would have wanted to watch because you'd have been fired up during that match. It was fun.
Yeah, so again, not everything ever goes your way. When we talked about district schedules, we talked a lot about aligning football and volleyball so we didn't split our fan bases. I was outvoted in that, and so sure enough, we got 2 district championship games going on at the same time, and I don't ever hear what the announcer says on Friday night. I just try to be locked in on the task at hand. But I heard the words when they said your Lady Eagles are district champs and they won in 5. And then he said 15-13, and I thought, well, Coach Watts at least made it interesting. She priced admission, but very proud of our girls. They're going to set themselves up for an opportunity for a great playoff run. We'll host next Tuesday here at Lubbock Christian. Opponent to be determined, but next Tuesday a home game, and that'll start the journey. Yeah,
that'll start the journey back to the Final Four this year, and hopefully they can get it done this season. Like I said, just their second year at the helm of this program. Coach Watts took them to the state tournament last year in 4A, looking to do the same thing here in 3A and finish off what has been just a remarkable season from these young ladies, and a very, very well-led volleyball team there. Football in Fort Worth on Friday. Join us there in Fort Worth. If you can't make the drive, we'll have all the action for you here on the Eagle Sports Network, on MixLR, and on NFHS. So, Coach, thanks for joining us this week again. Good luck, good travels. We'll see you in Fort Worth.
See you. Go Eagles.
Go Eagles.